All right, let me know like when we're on YouTube.
Sounds good. I will stand by. We are live. We are alive. Live and alive. That's a game that just came out, actually. An old Nintendo title that just got re-released.
Hey everyone, welcome to Good Evening Live. I'm Michael,
What's going on? This is Peter.
and yeah, we're pleased to be with you guys today.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a poo-poo show the last little bit. It's been very busy on all fronts. A lot has happened within the Goody Reader family. I think we skipped last month just because there's just so much going on. But we're back in action now, and yeah, let's get it rocking and or rolling.
So, Peter, what's new on your end?
Another day, another dime. You mean like business-wise, or are we letting people filter in? We're just kind of shooting the you know what for now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well,
I know you've been like reviewing a lot of things lately.
yeah, the production department has their we got our hands full. And how it works is that obviously you guys know we get samples, and both myself and Michael arrange samples to be sent to the production studio here. And then we have all the guys kind of just go through the things. We look at it, we kind of have a little bit of a table read, we go through some Zoom with our team and Michael's team and everything, and we're just like, what is this? What do we kind of want to approach? And every device has their own personality. I mean, we've seen devices that are like the Y-bend, which are just these weird DOS OS base model, basically a Texas Instrument calculator. So like before we do reviews now, we can't just do them blind. And then once we figure out, it's like, okay, this is who this is for. And then we got to go get the scripts written. So we go to our guys and they write the scripts and they put all the nice fancy words. And then we go and do we get it set up. So we draw what needs to be drawn on it, load what needs to be preloaded. And then I go in the studio and I talk about it. And then we get the guys to take B-roll and photos and send it over to Mike's team. And then Mike does all the important work on the news publication and gets it out to the world. So that's kind of the process. But yeah, a lot has landed. A
So,
lot.
what's like in terms of informing people like when the next things are going to be that we review. We
Yeah,
have the iFly Tech is
correct. That just went up. Yeah, that was the probably the last I think I mentioned to you, Mike, that'll probably be the last one we're gonna do on these guys. Just I don't want to dwell too much on it, but it's just they're not a team player in that regard. It's like it's very nice that they're sending us samples, but it's more like here's a sample, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I can't even turn it on. Hello, are you there? So it's like it kind of feels one-sided in a way, and it's not good outside of China. It's just yeah, it just doesn't work.
yeah. And what Peter's saying is it's one of the few Chinese brands that have not embraced English. Almost every
That's it.
other brand, from like Huawei to like to Hanvon to
Dude,
uh
everybody. Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody, man. Every Bigme's embraced it. We've been talking to iReader. We had a Zoom meeting a couple days ago, maybe 5 days ago. They're gonna do a test load OTA, which is over the air update, and they're gonna put English on their iReader operating system, which is crazy because like they were a holdout for quite some time too, and now they're no longer. So a lot is changing, and iFlyTech is just those guys that just like we don't want to do it. We don't want to put English on our units, and it really does stifle what we're able to provide them. You know what I mean? Like, how can we? And it's not about selling; it's about brand awareness. It's about showing you guys and what this device is about, and doing our due diligence as reviewers of e-readers. And like, there's nothing to work with because it's just like, okay, well, we got to get our office in China who does a lot of the dev stuff. It's like, hey, can you stand by? I'm sending you like a one-time access text message so we can even turn it on, and it's just a whole thing. So yeah, that'll be the last iFly Tech. But I think the next one, as you asked, Mike, what's coming up? High Read is a massive contract that you actually sealed the deal on that one, Mike. You sent all the info over to me and the introduction letter and everything. And yeah, we're a distributor of High Read now, so they're going to be sending us some stuff.
Yeah, so High Read is a Taiwanese company, and there's sort of like the Moo Read.
I don't know if you ran away.
Pardon?
I can't hear you.
You can't?
And Mike's gone. I'm assuming. Mike, where'd you go?
Uh,
Did you go somewhere? I legitimately can't hear you anymore. No here.
one sec. Yeah, so while Peter's sorting out his connection issues, um, yeah, basically, like, there's two big Chinese companies like High Read, and there's like High Read and like the Moo Inc. And there's sort of two of the biggest companies there. Can you hear me now, Peter?
Sorry, everybody. I don't really know what's happening. Okay. It does seem that they can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear
They
you.
can hear both of us. Come on, man. We got to get this rocking and rolling here. And I can still see you, Mike.
Yeah, I can hear you or see you.
Can you hear me, everybody? Is that good? Can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear both of you. Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I guess like the way that it works is that yeah, there's very few Taiwanese like
Yeah, we
companies
are
that are
on.
yeah,
But
there's
actually, I can't hear Mike now.
uh
So we can just try to we can just try to what do you call uh guess when each other are talking. The Chinese company hacked your audio.
yeah.
uh that's funny. Just stand by, everybody. Sorry. Mike can hear Pete. Pete cannot hear Mike. Yeah, I think so. And I haven't changed anything. Yeah, speakers are on. Everything's all good.
Yeah, I'm going to try to like figure something
Oh,
out
you're
here.
back. You're back. You're back. I can hear you.
Can you?
Hello. Yeah, we're good, guys. Thank you very much. Watch him on YouTube, says Milos. I am. I actually pulled up on my phone to watch Mike on YouTube so I can guess when he's talking.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a delay with it for some
Yeah,
reason.
that's okay. Yeah, let's get back to it. Sorry, guys. That's
All right.
funny.
So, to let you guys know what's sort of new lately in terms of, the site and everything, we
Yeah.
recently launched like a forum.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So if you go to like our website, goodreader.com, on the navigation bar, there's like contact, news, reviews, store and stuff. There's a new tab there called forum, and it's sort of like new forums, like software that we have here. And yeah, it's like the type of thing where like you can like register, uh, or you could just like talk just as a guest and not
Yeah.
having to register. So there's a few benefits like to registering, like you can have like an avatar and like a signature, and you could vote in polls and stuff like that. But as a guest, you can still like read and reply. So it's like, if you don't want to register with us, you don't have to. And it's just, we don't sell
Pardon
data, so any customers that like register with us, we're not the type of company that like sell your like data to like anybody. Like
No,
we've always kept it like internally. We don't even use like anything for even our newsletter unless you just
no,
sign up
we
for
don't
our
use any of that.
newsletter like exclusively.
And we do that a lot. We don't really have a lot of things that we require you to log into. Like our app store, you can use it freely. You don't have to create an account. But if you do, then it does sync to all your devices, etc. But it's not necessary. So just like feel free to use as many of our services as you wish.
Yeah.
ABK to bar converter, etc. We don't want to lock you guys down. We never have. So
Yeah, it's like purchasing stuff from like our store. It's like you can just check out as a guest if you want.
yeah,
You
that's
don't
right.
have to register. So we've always sort of believed in that from like day one, just like the less friction, the better. And for personally, like I hate like when I have to like register just to like do
Oh
something on
man.
like another site, like
Yeah.
just to read something. It's like, please create an account. Like especially news sites that have like paywalls are notorious for that, where it's like, you can read like 2 free articles a month, and then you have to register, and you
Yeah.
can read another
Yeah.
five,
Yeah,
and then
right.
after that you have to like subscribe. It's like, oh my
Dude, you ever get
god.
those when it's like the Wall Street Journal has a I don't know, just a news clip, and then you scroll through it and you're like, "Wow, this is really interesting." And then it fades in, it says, "Click here to register to continue reading." And I'm like, I just wanted to read it. Like you already gave me a little bit, and like that's what they do, right? So it's the whole thing about like samples, right? Like you read a couple pages, gets you hooked, and then you got to buy it. So yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in paywalls, like at least for us. Like it's
Yeah.
something that like we've never did and something that we'll never do. So
Right, right, right.
it's just it's one of those things that like most companies that cover ebooks and audiobooks and even talk about e-readers, everything from like Publishers Weekly to the Bookseller, to the Guardian, they're one of the
Yeah.
few sort of UK like newspapers that actually talk about this type of stuff. And it's like all like paywall. It's like certain
Yep.
articles are free, but the vast majority it's like you need to pay them like a monthly subscription, anywhere between like $29.99 to like $39.99 like a month. And it's like just to stay on top of like publishing news,
I
it's
know.
like you have to pay them, and it freaking sucks because it's
It's a
like they
lot.
only implemented those systems like in the last couple of years. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. There's a lot of that on the internet that's just I don't know, makes you want to I don't know, just hide under a rock.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, what's oh yeah, we had a quick customer, not customer, user question here that we'll just answer real quick because we do have some slight news if you've missed it. 13.3-inch color e-reader news question mark. I'll just do a quick 10 seconds on mine. If you go to YouTube, we actually sent one of our guys to Taiwan last month to a trade show where we covered a color 13.3-inch Kaleido panel. It's not in any sort of tooled shell. It's just on the wall, but it does work and it does exist and it is real. So I'm going to throw it over to you, Mike. If you know anything about any sort of 13.3-inch color coming up in the pipeline.
All right, so as you guys know, like I talk a lot to like these companies. Like one of the benefits of selling this stuff is that we talk to like management about selling things in our store.
Hmm.
Plus I have a lot of connections like in the supply chain, so both from like a store but like a news outlet thing too. So
Pardon me.
Kaleido 3 was supposed to come out like this summer.
Yeah.
But from what a lot of companies are telling me that had planned to use Kaleido 3 is that there's not enough panels available for them to place an order with e-ink. So e-ink has enough panels to like send to companies that want to do color, like here's 4 development kits or something
Yeah.
like that, or here's 2 development kits, logic board, Kaleido 3 panel and stuff like that. And so they're like doing their internal testing, and stuff like that, loading their hardware on it. And it's like, yeah, we want to release something. Can we order like 10,000 panels? E-Ink's
Yeah.
like, no, they're not ready yet. So E-Ink has not even like brought these sort of things like online for Kaleido 3. And one of the things with Kaleido 3 is that it primarily supports 7.8, 10.3, and 13.3. And so even companies that are like, yeah, we want to place an order, it's just E-Ink's not in a position to like mass produce the panels yet. So that's one of the reasons why we haven't seen any Kaleido 3 devices this year. So from everything that I'm hearing, we'll probably won't see anything until 2023, like maybe summer of next year. So that's when
Yeah.
we might see something. However, Gallery 3, I'm not too sure about, because from everything I understand, Gallery 3 for e-readers or e-notes only supports like 7.8 only. And
Mm.
so maybe they're in the same position where we haven't seen any Gallery 3 e-readers or e-notes yet, because it's just simply not ready for mass production. But I don't know that. That's not like confirmed like, like Kaleido 3 is. I'm not too sure. I have to sort of put the feelers out for that. But I think one of the advantages of Gallery 3, at least for e-notes or e-readers, is that I could display 40,000, 50,000 colors, as
Wow.
opposed to like ENK Kaleido 3, which can only display like 4,000. Basically
Yeah, yeah.
5,000 colors.
But I think Kaleido still has the better usability for refresh and like everyday use. I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Gallery 3 is pretty interesting. They have like 4 or 5 different speed variants, depending on like your use case. So they have something from like very slow page turns, which we've seen up until now, until
Slow.
like
Yeah.
really fast, but it leaves like ghosting issues.
Yeah.
So they have like basically 5 different speed modes like on it, but you have to choose which one that you want on your e-reader. You can't just like switch between them on like for have settings or something like
Right.
Onyx has like all the different speed modes that you can
Oh
change via
yeah.
software, but
Yeah.
with Gallery 3 it doesn't have like there's no on off switches for the various speed modes. When you're
Right.
constructing the e-reader, it's you basically have to enable one type of speed mode only for Gallery 3. So
Right.
it's I think that that's going to take a hit, you know what I mean? Like it's really hard for somebody to say what's the middle ground between slow and fast, and what will users embrace on a device.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think, the e-reader crowd, all you wonderful people that watch us all the time, you guys know what e-readers are all about. But I mean, just about every second of every day, we get people that are like, why not just buy an iPad? So you know what that mentality is that the average person it's e-readers and refresh is something you have to get used to if you don't already know it. It's never going to be lightning snappy fast, because that's not what it is. It was never intended for that. So yeah, it's probably going to have to be to the user to choose their modes. I think that's just the most comfortable thing. And you know what, I think something interesting that no one has ever talked about, and you and I neither, Mike. Why is it that the monitors, the Dasung monitor, the Onyx monitors, all the monitors they have now, I think Dasung has 5 and Onyx has 2, they have like 28 speed modes on the Onyx and 15 speed modes on the Dasung, and all these sub speed modes and combinations of either, but no e-reader or e-note has ever exceeded 4 speed modes. I wonder why that is. They're both the ink panels. The Mira is a 13.3, the Lumi is a 13.3. It's the same panel. But why is it the monitors can have 28 fully functioning speed modes? And you guys have seen how fast that is, but no other e-reader e-note does that.
Yeah, it's the user experience. Do you want to like bog users down with like 10 or 15 different options. You
Yeah.
know, most companies like do either like the normal mode or A2 mode.
That's right. Yeah.
That was like the
Yeah.
default standard for like all e-readers.
Long time.
And
Yeah.
then, you know, slowly some companies started offering more expanded different modes for like different
Like
tasks.
yeah, like image mode or like text mode, and then we're like, oh, okay, I start to see what's happening.
Yeah, they've slowly started to like, you know, rename like the speed modes for different types of tasks that you'll do. Because like, you know, we'll say with Onyx they have like X mode. What does that do? You know, like they have like, you know, different types of modes, but it's not really clear on like what the use
True.
cases would
That's
be for
very
those
true.
modes.
Yeah.
Whereas Dasung and stuff, they or like other companies, they're starting
High
to,
sense.
yes,
Yeah. They go like balanced mode, smooth mode, speed mode. It kind of exactly tells you
clear
which one to
mode.
use.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So I, you know, I think in order for those types of things to catch on with more people, you really need to rename them for what tasks that you would do. So, you know, internet mode or coding, or, you know, to explain sort of more about why you would use a certain mode for like a
That's
certain
true.
task.
That's true. Yeah, the monitor actually, when we had it in studio, it was a little bit confusing. I'm not like, oh, what does this button do? But at the same point, it was like there was a little bit of a learning curve because like you have to select your mode, and then there's a dial that has 7 sub speed modes. So Onyx has the most speed modes out of any company, period. And it's true. It's 28 speed modes. That's insane. Dasung has pioneered monitors and speed modes effectively, and they only have 15. And I was just like, wow, Onyx has profiles that you can actually create your own speed modes. One with like no contrast, all boldness, and like yeah, just a combination of everything in between. So it was definitely, there is a learning curve with that much customization at your fingertips, which I guess now that I've discussed it with you, that does sound like why most e-readers don't have that, because you could actually dig yourself a grave and like your zero saturation, zero contrast, all speed, your screen's just like flickering white, and you're like, oh, what have I done? Right? Like this is too much power for one person. So I guess that's why they did that.
So, did anybody buy anything for Prime Day? That was
Oh
Amazon's
yeah,
annual event that
that's
just
right.
transpired like maybe about a week and a half ago. Virtually every single Kindle model was on sale, and all the variants, almost in every market, at least the ones that I paid attention to, Japan, the UK, Canada, and the US. There was deals to be had on the latest generation Kindle Paperwhite, the 6.8 screen, both the signature edition and the base model, as well as, you know, the Kindle Oasis. You know, Kobo was running parallel deals for Prime Day for
Yeah,
almost all of their e-readers. Barnes and Noble had deals for their e-readers. It was just like a good time to make a purchase.
it was.
So,
Yeah, I'll leave that to the users in a little bit because there is a delay. But what did you buy, Mike? Did you buy anything for Prime Day?
no.
Oh,
Um
no.
yeah, I mean, I have everything that I need. You know, I have like, you know, I have a Kindle that I use. I don't need the latest generation or whatever. So, because like, you know, I read more paper books than like ebooks, just
Yeah,
because
neither of us use e-readers. They're terrible.
yeah, I mean, I like collecting hardcovers. You know what
It's
I mean?
true. It's true. It's like oh man, you know what? I'll just show you guys just a little bit. There's something to be said with having a nice, like, okay, Mike's more of like a bookcase with, books with all like the binds and everything, and I have like Switch games that are all like stacked up because digital's great, has a smaller ecological footprint, it's quicker delivery, I understand, but there's something to be said about having like a shelf with stuff on it. You know what I mean? Like just a stacked shelf, And that's something you can't get on e-readers or like digital video games and stuff. So yeah, I hear you on that one.
It's also the resale value. Like you
Yeah,
can't,
you can't.
if you
No,
were to buy
there it is.
digital Switch games, you can't
Zero.
really you can't sell them or lend them out to
Never.
friends.
You're correct. If I have my Smash Brothers here, if I bought that digitally, it's $80. That's it. It's gone. It's in the ether. If I bought the hardcover, just say physical, it's $80. But I can always flip it on Facebook Marketplace for 40 bones 4 years later. So I'm preserving 50% of my value, and I'm then giving it to someone who has the ability to purchase it as a heavily subsidized price as I ate all the depreciation. So there's two separate worlds, economies of both digital and physical. And that's something you can do with books as well. You can pass your books on. You can sell your books. Books expand in rarity and value over the years. You know what I mean? Like those
First edition
special
Harry
first
Potter
editions.
like
And if
is
you download the first edition Kindle, you can be like, "Hey, check out my first edition Harry Potter." Oh, you have one? Yeah, it's on my Oasis. It's like that doesn't count. That doesn't matter. I want to see it behind a piece of glass, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things with like ebooks too is they'll change the cover art if they make like you say you buy you bought the original Harry Potter with like the unique cover art the first like day it was ever released.
Yeah.
When they released the movies, they changed the cover art to like representing like the movies, or they'll
That's
change
right.
the cover art if the cover art has been changed by the publisher. And that's one of the things. Like, there's really no resale value with ebooks because
Zero.
you technically don't own the ebooks because you're basically just licensing them from the company that you paid the money to. So
And sometimes you pay as much or close to a book based on where you're getting it from. If it's a small bookshop, a big bookshop, if they're bound by the ISBN prices and all that, like you're somehow paying a lot or more than you should for something that doesn't exist versus something physical, you know?
yeah, that's the thing with like the tangible versus like the intangible. You ebooks can't be resold. For the most part, ebooks can't be lent out. I know that Amazon has like a lending program that many people don't even know exists, but for the
Yeah.
most part, brands that sell ebooks, it's like that's why you're locked into their ecosystem because you can't really bring them with you. And
No.
if that company ever goes out of business, you lose everything. Going back to video games, we know that PS Vita, for example, from PlayStation, they shut down like the service, so you can't
Oh
buy
yeah, they
digital
did.
games anymore. So the only thing that you could do is play physical games. So if you have a collection of physical games, you can actually insert it and keep on playing. But they've shut down like the cloud service, they've shut down like the store. And
That's
Nintendo's
right.
done that over the years, discontinue things. Game companies do that where they shut down the servers of old
Yeah,
multiplayer games. So,
they have to.
you sort of don't have access to that anymore. So, there's something to be said about owning physical things because it's yours forever.
Pretty much, as long as you have the hardware or well, hardware, your eyes are hardware too. It's just organic. As long as you have the tools to consume what you've bought, eyes for books, the console for games, etc., then yeah, it's yours. It's yours. I mean, you can't stamp out copies of them and sell them on the street, but yeah, it is yours.
Yeah, and I mean that's not to say that I don't buy ebooks, but I also buy a lot of audiobooks. Like I've been enjoying
Oh yeah.
audiobooks a lot lately. Either short form content. There's a new thing on Audible. I don't know how new it is, but it's called Music and Words,
Oh
and
nice.
it's like there's about 31 episodes in like the series, and it's like everyone from like Beck to like Eddie Vedder to like Alanis Morissette. There's like
Ah,
country people and stuff, and so they kind of like talk about their careers, or like some people like go even as far as to like when I was a kid, and it's generally about like an hour, maybe 2 hours long. Half of it is just like them talking like about their experiences being on the road, or you know um influences they that their parents had on them, or
Cool.
when we were on tour for this album, these are some of like the more interesting stories, but I think it's more introspective, but it's juxtaposed by like songs that they'll play,
Oh,
in
nice.
the audible recording studio. So it's
Yeah.
not like they're playing like studio albums, it's like sort of alive versions, but they're playing it like inside the sound booth or whatever, so it's basically just them singing. And it's kind of cool because it's sort of like a podcast, but it's cool because they're short, they're bite sized. It's not like
Oh, it's
the
interesting.
typical
It's
audiobook.
non-committal.
Yeah, exactly. Like typical audiobook is like 12 hours
Yeah.
generally, but then so
Yeah.
this is like at like 2 hours or less. So you can listen to it in like one sitting or whatever, and it's I kind of like the direction that Audible has moved in, both offering podcasts, but also like all the Audible exclusive content that you get. And you can get it all just from like paying, like, in the past you paid Audible like $12 a month or whatever, and you got one audiobook credit that you could redeem for one audiobook. But they've sort of
Yeah.
gone beyond that now, where it's like they have all these exclusives you have access to if you subscribe. So there's thousands of things that you can just like download for free, both like audiobooks or podcasts, or like it's mainly like Audible originals that Audible has just had. And
Yeah.
so a lot of like people, I mean, it's good for users. Like for me, there's like a lot of choice now finally for like like long form Audible, like audio content. Libraries are kind of pissed off that Audible and Amazon's like original ebooks aren't available to like libraries.
Ah.
Yeah, so
Oh
there's
well.
like it's a double-edged sword, where it's like it's awesome for users, but like libraries want access to like all this stuff, and like Amazon doesn't want to give it to them.
And they can't. Oh well. That's the way it goes. Audible's still cool.
Yeah, so Peter,
Yeah.
why don't you tell the folks about our new device?
Yeah, that's on the docket here, and then we'll move on to yeah, actually someone did ask about that. I just want to shout them out here because they did ask. Simon Gordon, any update on the Goody Reader X Bigme? Yes, so the Goody Reader X Bigme is a collaborative project between Bigme and ourselves, where we are co-branding, and what that means is all of our services and logoing will be on the device and the box and the materials, and it's a full dual release. Yeah, so we just wanted a fully blown ebook reader with literally every single feature. So there's four microphones, there's audio, there's warm light, there's SD card, there's SIM card, there's two cameras on it. I mean,
Speakers.
speakers. It's just we went ape. And surprisingly, in the end, aside from the early bird things that Big Me wanted to sell, but yeah, it's cheaper than other devices. So they were mostly in charge of the manufacturing and getting the production lines going because they already have an established infrastructure of building things because they have 14 devices in their lineup. We don't have an infrastructure of building things. That's not what we do. We've only ever released one unit and a pen. So
Actually, we
we
did the 6.8 and 13.3.
oh yeah, no, that's right. We did a dual release. Yeah, so we put our heads together and we said, okay, Big Me, you guys are good at physically manufacturing them. You guys have like factories and stuff. We have the worldwide presence because let's be honest, everyone knows Goody Reader in the e-reader world, and nobody knows Big Me. People
And I
didn't even
mean,
know they existed till like a year and a bit ago.
we know we review so much stuff that like we know what constitutes a good device and
Yeah,
what people want.
that's
Like
exactly
people
it.
want a large screen device that's light, that they can use. Some people want to take notes and draw, and what's better to take notes and draw than full color? Some people just want to consume content, read books, comics, manga,
Yeah,
magazines, newspapers, have access to all this stuff, and being able to like read it all in full color. So,
yep, That's right.
Many people with e-readers, especially those of you that grew up with like Kindles or Nooks or Kobos, you're used to just like viewing all that stuff in like black and white.
Yeah.
Manga traditionally black and white, but modern things like webtoons and a lot of manga these days are done like in color now.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past they weren't, because mainly everyone has a smartphone in their pocket now, so everyone's like optimizing manga for larger screen displays. So we wanted to do one device that rules them all, sort of like
The
the ring.
one ring.
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted
Yeah.
to do one, like, some people like listening to podcasts or music or YouTube on headphones. Sure. We have Bluetooth support. Some people just like to listen to it on an on-device speaker. Okay, we'll release like something with speakers.
Yeah.
Some people like to do audio dictation, like audio to text for note taking, or some people just want to talk to their buddies like on Discord or WhatsApp or WeChat, or you know what I mean. There's just like
Yeah.
we wanted to release something with enough features to keep people engaged no matter what the task was at hand. So
That basically was it, that we didn't want there to be something it was missing, because a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, maybe you guys should get something more distraction free." It's like that's something I believe is just kind of a bandwagoner thing that people are just repeating over and over again. It's like, don't swim after eating. That was debunked. So it's like, I don't believe in a distraction free thing, because anything can be distraction free. An Onyx can be distraction free. But if you want something, you can't magically add something onto a Remarkable. That's impossible. I can't say, "Oh man, I really want to listen to this. Oh, good thing I have a speaker that I don't have." No, you don't. There's no speaker. So if you don't want, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. If you need something and it's not there, then it's not there. But if you have a camera, people are like, "You don't need a front camera." It's like, don't use it. I'm not, it's not like you have to use the front camera to read a book. Just don't use it. So like, yeah, we just wanted every feature there. And we are just like, you know what, 4 gigs of RAM? No. 6 gigs of RAM. 64 gig storage? No. 128. Just like every single possible thing. Just put the biggest possible thing of that on there. 10 languages? No. 31 languages. So it's just like, yeah, we just put everything on there. We threw everything at a wall and it worked. And Bigme is really good at tooling devices and carving things out of wax and stuff, which they did. And we developed an all new unit. A lot of back and forths, between all of us. And yeah, I think we hit our goal in like 10 minutes. Yeah, I think we got almost 800 people to get on board, and that's just Kickstarter. And I'll say one more thing. A lot of people said, "Why are you using Kickstarter?" Kickstarter is totally normal in the world of launching a product, even if you don't need money for the project.
And it's
Lots
like
of
more
people do
legit
it.
too. Like Kickstarter's like
Yes.
say more legit than like uh what is it, like Bandcamp or something?
Campfire and all these other guys. And
Indiegogo.
yeah, and like if you were to, if Big Me was to release this on their own page with like, Union Pay, Taobao, WeChat Pay, it's like a lot of people aren't used to that. They don't know what that is. So Big Me said, why don't we use Kickstarter? It's an all-in-one platform. Everyone knows it. It's a completely single entity that facilitates all the money coming in and money going out and products going out. It was just a simple way to, it's the same reason you use eBay. When you use eBay, you sell something on eBay, it gets advertised to the world. Do you have to pay higher fees? Sure. But it's better than you running ads, finding your own credit card processor, paying for, customer insurance and all this other stuff that goes into it. Kickstarter's an all-in-one. Dasung did it. Supernote did it. Before a lot of these companies did it, they don't need money to make it. It's just they're using it as a payment processor that Mike says is like the most legitimate one. It's an all-in-one service. So that's the thing. This isn't a project that's going to be like, oh, shipping 2025. No, it's going to ship like next month, the month after.
Yeah, like
It's ready to
I'm
go.
hearing like early October.
Yeah, we're getting our review sample, I think, this week. And Bigme is not a company that's like, oh, maybe we're thinking of release. No, they got 14 devices and a subsidiary fighter brand. They have shipped millions of devices all over the world. They don't need Kickstarter to fund them. They're just using it because it's a massive way to draw awareness. So that's what the whole thing was with Kickstarter, is that they're not a cash poor business that needed all this money. They got factories, man. So yeah, that's what's going on there. But yeah, it's a great unit on paper. I haven't even played with the final product yet. I don't know, but we're gonna see. And we're sending it to a lot of different news outlets. Michael actually got Linus Tech to agree to take on our product, so we're going to be sending one to them. Linus Tech Tips. They got like, I don't know what, 13 million subscribers or something.
Yeah,
so
they have a lot.
yeah,
So
way
it's
more
like
than us.
it'll be, I think, like on one of the Linus Media Group's thing, like
Yeah,
Tech Quickie or one of their shorts or
that's right.
something, So
And I believe Unbox Therapy, those guys got I think 15 million subscribers as well. I think they're going to be getting a sample. I think Engadget's going to be getting a copy, and yeah, just sending like 5 or 10 copies around to all these news outlets, and then they'll send them to other places, and yeah, that's really the deal. Was what's going on there, guys?
yeah. So just to elaborate a little bit more,
Yeah,
one of the benefits about Kickstarter is that a lot of media outlets will pick up on it, just because like
that's
if
right.
something's like just new and it's like making a ton of money, a lot of news outlets will pick up on it, so it'll help like make the product just have more awareness and go viral a little bit more. But it's also, we know how many additional units that we need to make. So like the initial production run, I think, was going to be like, I don't know, like 10,000 units or so. But
That's a good one, actually. I didn't mention that.
yeah,
That's smart,
based
man.
on like Kickstarter, we know how many additional units that we have to make based on orders on Kickstarter. So one of the benefits about crowdfunding is not necessarily needing the money to manufacture something. It's basically how many people are placing orders that we need to go back to the
That's a
factory
good
and
one.
say, okay, we need to make an additional, 5,000 units. We've initially made enough to cover everybody,
Yeah,
but we need to make an additional this many because like the demand is there. So once we sort of start, the crowdfunding campaign starts winding down, we know how many more that we need to be able to go wide. Once Kickstarter ends, it's going to be available in the Goody Reader store,
that's right.
both our like main site as well as our Shopify site, and we're going to start distributing it to like other e-commerce sites too. So hopefully we'll make it available like on Amazon and other places like that and stuff too. So
Yeah.
we need enough products on hand to be able to ship them out as soon as an order is placed. That's the big
That's a
thing.
good one, yeah. Because if you look at it, just in the 4 days it's been running or something, there's 763 people that have already reserved theirs, and that's gonna keep going for the entire month. And then we need to stockpile all 5 of our locations, and I believe Bigme's going to be selling it domestically within China as well. So we all needed to. That's actually a good one too. It's like market research, because we all need to kind of come together and be like, all right, well, we need, an extra 2,500 units we didn't know we needed yesterday. So yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so that's what's going on with that, guys. If you have any other questions, of course, there's going to be tons of videos coming out on this. We are going to be reviewing it ourselves, but obviously we're going to be sending it to countless reviewers as well, because we can't be left to our own devices to say, oh, the InkNote Color is the absolute best, because it may not be. So we have to be impartial, have to send it out to everyone, get a fair shot. But yeah, we're going to be showing you the ins and outs of it, like a 20-minute deep dive on it, the whole thing.
Yeah, we want to show you, but you can only understand what the device does by just like reading tech specs or a
Right.
few of the articles that are Lily Puting did and a few other
That's right.
things did that you can only get a sense on like what it does by a few of the pictures that have been released, as well as just reading the specs. You really need to visually see what it can do, how vibrant the colors are, and things like that. So we can show you that. Obviously, because it's our device and it's not like a third-party device, we are some of our bias, wouldn't be there. We're mainly just like showcasing it to you in like an honest fashion. We're not really reviewing
You
it
got
in a
it.
traditional sense like we would review the recently
No,
released Nook Glowlight 4 with Pearl Pink.
we're not going to be like the InkNote Color is the best one you could buy in the world. Good readers really outdone themselves. No, Mike's right. It's gonna be showcasey. It's gonna be like, what does colors look like here? How does the pen work here? No, we're not gonna give it a score because we all know what that score is gonna be. But yeah, moving over to the Nook. Man, the first time Nook has ever released a color variant, not a color device, a color choice.
Yeah, so they released they were taking pre-orders I think for like about the last like month,
Yeah.
and they did a pearl pink version of like the Nook. So if you've ever seen the Nook Glowlight 4, when it was released initially, it was black. So, it was black on the front and like black on the back.
Yeah.
And they released the Nook Glowlight 4 with pearl pink, so even the packaging is pink now. The back of the device, like of the e-reader itself, is like pearl pink, so like the back plate, but the front of it is white now instead of black. So
Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
it's a total color refresh, and it looks really good. So if you guys have seen it, the pictures already, we did like a review on it. So we uploaded like a ton of pictures. Peter did a video on it like on YouTube and stuff like that. We have like a review on our website on goodereader.com. It's like in one of our carousel images at the very top, so you can actually see some of the pink packaging. I would show you guys what it looks like, but last time I did that, like OBS ended up crashing, so I don't want
Oh,
that to happen.
don't do that. Just go to our site, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
I
The
think it
pink.
looks like really good, and
It is. Yeah.
um, I actually talked to the VP of e-commerce and the VP, like basically the guy that runs the Barnes Noble website, but who's also in charge of the entire Nook division. He was actually saying that when they did the Pro Pink color, they actually had like 4 or 5 other colors, and they were like testing them internally, like which front and back, different colors. Should we just do something with like a different color black paint, like back plating, like baby blue or red, and keep the front black, or maybe we should change like the front like to white and then have like different color backs. So they had like all sorts of different types of like color variants, and so they were testing them internally, but they also sent them off to like a lot of the different Barnes and Noble stores all across the countries, and they were like, vote, between like, give us like your top 3, what color combinations do you like the best, and like overwhelmingly everyone liked the pearl pink, so that was the one that they ended up like releasing. So they said that this won't, this is like quote a limited edition because they only made like a certain number of them, but what they told me was that pre-order demand for this was so strong that it blew them away. They didn't like think that people would be ordering them in the volume that like they are. Originally they were like, we're going to send these to like all the bookstores so they can show them in like in the stores and
Yeah.
people could actually see it in person, but there's not even enough units left to send them to all the stores. They could maybe send like a couple, and I mean like less than 5, to like the higher performing stores, like the Nook or sorry, the Barnes and Noble store at Union Square in New York,
Right.
which is like their flagship store. They can send more there, but this is the type of thing where it's like they didn't see the demand coming for this, so it's like they're like, should obviously we're going to do more colors is what they told me. So now that they've seen the demand for it, they would be silly not to like do other colors, as well as go back to and make another run of like do another production run of the pearl pink in time for like the holiday season, like Black Friday, like and going forward, like
Right.
that's all they're thinking about right now is like the holiday season. Like they mentioned that to me like 10 times during like our hour-long conversation, is like this is like everything that we're gearing up towards right now. We're not even thinking about back to school or all the stuff. It's like the holiday season like is what they're planning out. And apparently they developed like a lot of signage that they're going to put in all the bookstores to advertise the Nook and advertise buying ebooks and audiobooks in the stores. So like for the first time in like a long time, they're now going to just have the Nooks like by the customer service area like they started doing a couple of years ago. They're going to go back to like dedicated Nook display units now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember last one of our lives, I think 2 or 3 lives ago, we had a Barnes and Noble mole, not a mole, it's almost like it. We had a Barnes and Noble ex-employee in our chat, and they were going over the fact like, oh yeah, most of the stores have abandoned all of the Nook, what do you call, like flyers and the tables and the banners, and like if you do have a location that has it, it's like at the very back of the room. And it was weird to hear that Nook was like not present in a lot of these places, but it's good to know that they're coming back now. And I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
this
they
pink
were
is
they were
so
banished by the customer service like area, like behind the counter.
right.
So it's like you couldn't even like try before you buy anymore because they were just like locked behind a case or like inside of like a like I don't know, like a cabinet or something.
Yeah. I think this pink is so refreshing to have. It's not only is it, yeah, going back to what you said, Mike, there's no way they could have kept the black front and the pink back. That would not work. I'm not some fashion mogul, but there would be no way you're like, oh, it's a normal e-reader. Oh, geez, look at that pink. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't flow. This thing's like something you want to keep on your coffee table. The pink is so like candy pink. It's so nice and it looks good anywhere in the room. The front is white, super refreshing to see a white front. I don't think they've done a white front since like what 2015 with the Nook Glowlight, where it had that weird gold back. It looked like a bar of soap. That was terrible.
Yeah.
But Barnes and Noble has done a 180 on their lineup. Man, we did a 10-year wrap up. Actually, it's on our YouTube channel on Barnes and Noble from the very beginning all the way to now, and I can tell you that this new refreshed line of Barnes and Noble devices is just so nice. They're like getting back into the swing of things. They almost have a full line. They may be working on something bigger. That's like, something to be talked about down the pipeline, but it's looking really good for them.
Yeah, so they never told me explicitly, but you doesn't take too much to put 2 plus 2 plus 2, 1 plus 1.
Well, apparently it does, man. We can't even it does. Two and two. I
Yeah,
think is the
so
same. Two and two.
the Nook Glowlight Plus it's 7.8.
The Glowlight Plus is 7.8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's been basically out of stock since like February.
Yeah. Right.
And
What's up?
what I was like told is that they're not going to like put an order in for the manufacturer to make more. So because they said that, it's like obviously they're going to make like a new one at some point. So between now and like I have a feeling it's going to be released this year. They never told me like when and where. They're like, when we have something to announce, we'll announce, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it's like, yeah, I kind of have a feeling that like it's probably going to be released like this year, because like in that regard they would have like refreshed the entire like Nook lineup. Like the Nook Glowlight 4 came out like late, December 2021. The
Yeah.
Nook Glowlight 4E came out this year. So it's like they've, if they would have done like a new version of the 7.8, they would have refreshed their entire lineup within 1 calendar year, which is,
Yeah.
For Barnes and
Unheard of
Noble,
from
like
them.
it's shocking that
That's
like,
insane, man.
yeah.
They usually just have like one e-reader, and they're like, "Yep, this is our e-reader." It's like, where? Oh, geez, there it is. Does it do much? It's like, eh. It's like, why aren't you guys focusing on this anymore? Hey, don't walk away from me. And then they just like go back to the Starbucks that's always inside a Barnes and Noble. Yeah. So yeah, man, I'm really liking these companies coming back. Like Barnes and Noble is definitely making a comeback. Me Book has made a huge comeback. They've rounded out their whole lineup. They got 3 devices right now. It's really nice. High Read, the guys that you just landed, they have, I don't know if you guys know, we actually just talked about this in a meeting the other day. They have 6 devices in their lineup, High Read, and a color
Well,
device.
they're going to be releasing a color device in September, but we're
Well, it's
taking
on the,
pre-orders for it
yeah,
now.
it's, I mean, it was on their like their drop down on their landing page. You
Yeah.
can like, see it. So like they got a lot of stuff, man. Like these companies are just coming out of the woodworks this year. 2021, 2022 has had, I mean, we say this almost every year because it just seems to compound, but like there's more released every year on year than the previous year. It's just more and more. Bigme was the largest in terms of quantity. They had like 14 units they threw into the mix. MeBook's on their way back. Boyu's still kind of taking an administrative role in the offices. They're not really building anymore. High Read came out of nowhere. Hisense released the Touch Museum, the A9, the High Reader. Like, geez, man, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Ah, some good stuff. Good times. Good times. What are we talking about now? What else do we have on here? What did you write? We got the Nook, the InkNote. Uh, oh yeah. Okay. Someone actually was asking about Kobo. We haven't heard anything from Kobo in a long time, man. Like the Sage came and it's like cool. The Ellipsa came. It's like all right. Ellipsa's on sale right now. Nia, no one gives two Santa Claus poo-poos about because I'm just sorry, but Nia's the worst thing Kobo's ever done. It's true. Kobo's great, but the Nia, that shouldn't have come from them. So yeah, dude, enlighten us. What's going on with Kobo?
So, yeah, they have too many devices in their lineup. However, I think that they're only going to release one new device this year, which will be a replacement for the Clara.
Oh
So
yeah,
they'll sort of do like a Clara 2 or
the kind
whatever.
of HD-ish 6 inch, not the low-end Nia six
No,
inch.
so this is the Clara. You can think of it as like their entry level device that has 300 ppi, whereas like the
Yeah,
Clara it's like 167 ppi. Yeah, the like the Nia literal garbage, worst e-reader that Kobo's ever
the
released.
worst thing they've ever done.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's not even that cheap too, considering like what it does for you. But
Oh,
yeah,
dude, if it was what it was, but it was 49.99. Oh, that's awesome. But no, it wasn't even that.
yeah, it's like generally like $100, is what you're gonna pay for it. Where
Yeah,
if you're gonna spend like 100, spend like 130 and buy like the Clara, because at least you're getting like a 300 ppi screen and overdrive,
that's right.
so
That's
any
right.
of the books you're reading are just gonna like look a little bit better. But yeah, so the only thing that I've heard is that the Clara will be refreshed this year, and everything else is just like too new. Like the Lipsa, the Sage, the Libra 2 all came out in like
Oh
various
yeah.
stages of like 2021. And Kobo is generally like on like a 3 year to 4 year product like cycle.
Yeah, look at the Forma, right?
Yeah. So like they're still selling the Forma, although that will be discontinued because it's basically supplanted by the Sage. You know what I mean? So they still sell the Forma, like a lot of stores do, but they're not going to
Yeah.
make like a Forma 2 or anything like that.
No, there wouldn't be any reason to do that. You know what I found is after the Sage, just a lot of the Kobo stuff right now isn't breaking through. Nothing's really making a massive impact. Like the Paperwhite, it's like all the rage. I mean, with everyone and anyone, right? Like Paperwhite, the Nook with this new color variant, and the fact that they're refreshing their line and they did an entry level version. It's like wow, lots going on. Kobo, they're not down and out. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, I'm talking. It's just, it feels like they're not making as big of an impact as they should have. With like the first Libra, I was like, whoa. And the when the Aqua came out, I was like, oh man. And the Form, I was like, oh, this is groundbreaking. Whip out the air guitar. And now it's just kind of like, yeah, okay, yeah, they have a lineup. And the Nia soured that a little bit. And the Sage is like kind of expensive. I don't know. It's just it doesn't feel like they're massively in the spotlight right now.
Yeah, so I have like just a few things like to go over really quick.
Yeah, yeah, of
So
course.
Britney Spears is going to be releasing a memoir. It's done, but it's delayed due to like the paper shortage. So it's like
Okay, that's kind of relevant.
it's one of the things that are like affecting like the book publishing industry right now, is that there is like a paper shortage, basically due to like the pandemic. So
There's actually a paper shortage? I
yeah,
didn't hear about that.
yeah. So that's
Okay,
why this is like a bit of a story, because like a lot of
interesting.
people are not. Um, Okay, so according to Publishers Weekly, there are many reasons for the global paper shortage, including production labor shortages, shipping issues, and an increased demand for books during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, as you know, like during like the pandemic, all bookstores were closed, so everyone was ordering books like online, and it was mainly ebooks were enjoying like in 2021 and 2000 and 2020. Ebook sales were suddenly going through the roof instead of being declined,
Oh,
and paper books like hardcover and paperbacks and mass markets, those were actually going up almost double digits too. So now that there's like a paper shortage, so even like for Britney Spears, well-known name, like if that book gets like published anytime between now and like the end of the year, it's going to be like the type of book that like a lot of people are going to buy. But the fact that a surefire bestseller like this isn't coming out, that's very telling that like you know if she's affected by the paper shortage, how many other authors are like want to publish books that are affected by the paper shortage?
oh yeah, the smaller players are probably like, oh man, like I'm out
Yeah.
because that's the way it works with supply and demand, right? Like, Onyx has the ability to say, hey, I want 10,000 screens. Well, a smaller company's like, well, can I have 200? It's like, no, I'm going to give it to Onyx. They want more screens. You can wait. Same thing with paper. It's like, yo, man, Britney Spears is in line. I'm not going to send, I'm not going to give your stack of paper to you for your 101 on how to cook an egg. Like, we're waiting Britney Spears here. So, yeah.
Yeah. Square Enix,
Oh, here we
often
go. I love
know
it.
for like, Squaresoft
Mhm.
back in the day making like Final Fantasy games and
Oh, they
everything.
still are.
They've
Yeah.
just released an English version of their Manga Up app. So this
Oh,
like
cool.
launched, it was Japanese only when it launched in 2017, but now they've just released like in the last like 4 or 5 days an English version of their app. So you can
Cool.
buy manga and like stuff like I don't know, Full Metal Alchemist, like
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
um, you know, the Apothecary Diaries, the Royal Tutor. It's like all this like stuff that's like is it wrong to try to pick up girls in the dungeon? Very good anime. Goblin Slayer, also a good anime. But yeah, I mean they have like a lot of like stuff that's like bestsellers, but as well
Yeah.
as like stuff that's like fringy. So the first few chapters are available to read for free on their website and their app for like Android or like iOS. And one of the things that they've like had is some controversy where um, they have like black borders like around cleavage. Like if they're
Oh,
wearing a bikini, they'll totally just like block out the entire bikini with like a black like a black like sensor like image and stuff like that. So they're not like a lot of like this manga, especially like being released by like Viz or like
yeah, yeah,
Kodashi and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. It's like they're not releasing you know like naked imagery, you know what I mean? It's like very rare that like they would do something like that, but Square is going the extra distance of like censoring like someone who's wearing a bikini, like for girls who wear bikinis, and they censor the entire like top of like it, so you wouldn't even
They
see
have to.
cleavage.
I know.
They're doing this because uh they stated, in consideration of each mobile platform's policies, some modifications were unavoidable to release the app to the whole world outside of Japan. This is not limited to English-speaking countries. Some countries like Indonesia have heavy censorship rules, so it's basically
Yeah.
like It's just not like an English version, which is like really what I'm talking about, because like, you know, all of our audience speaks and writes English for the most part, or understands it
Yeah.
up to a point. But you know,
Yeah.
they do have a version, like versions of these apps that are available like in other countries. So they
Yeah.
have, they, you know, from their point of view, they have to censor it just because of like modesty values in, say, the Middle East, or in like Muslim like countries and stuff like that, where like, you know, modesty stuff is very serious, which is like
Yeah.
why, you know, there's strict dress codes for like a lot of men and women for like the most part, you know. So
Yeah, I've been in Japan for off and on for like 7 years, and I can tell you that Japan is more open with those kind of things like sexuality and that kind of nature. So you won't really see any of that here. And like when, and I've been playing games on both sides of the ocean. When you play a game in Japanese, it's a little more risque. But then when you play it in Canada or America, the NTSC version, it's more censored, the way, like, you know, a character wouldn't swear as much, a character wouldn't say these things that would be like, you know,
like racy.
subjective in nature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also they go as far as like, you know, Kirby, for example, is a pink character from Nintendo. He's a strong, powerful fighter, and he's got a little bit of a frown to him. Every single Kirby game that hits America, all the people are like, no, 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 that's not good. So Nintendo's like, okay, fine, no frowns in America. And it's true. Go Google it. Every Kirby game in Japan, he'll be like, I'm ready to go. But in Canada, he's smiling and happy, little rose petals floating around and stuff, because they can't have that. They have to cater things for the taste of people that are a little bit more snowflakey. And I'm Canadian, and I can tell you that it's true. We are more snowflakey. Something happens, the first thing you do is you whip out your phone. I'm recording this. Oh, you've offended me. I'm scared from it. It's just so like, oh my god. And in Japan, it's just more like, just relax, okay? Like, this is what it is. It's creative freedom, and I want to make it this way, but it just doesn't work. Like you said, Indonesia has heavy censorship. Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, there's a lot of places just are a little bit more censored, that they just can't have that happen. And yeah, someone just said, MZ said they should properly be rated rather than censored. I agree. If something should be risque, it should be rated as such, maybe adult in Canada, not just censored entirely, because then you're taking away from how it was created in the first place. And that's not really fair. So, yeah, I totally agree. Like, I remember in the 90s when anime first came over to America on Teletoon, there was nudity in regular anime that North America wasn't ready for. They were like, "Oh, what the heck is this?" Like,
Yeah,
okay, so
and
there's
when they
a
say
huge
nudity,
line
it's
here.
like you might see like half a butt showing when they're changing or something like that.
Dude, Dragon Ball when it got dubbed into English, had nude scenes in it. It was a real thing. You saw Goku's wiener.
Yeah.
It's true. And you saw the other characters' breasts and stuff like that. It was a real thing. It wasn't a weird pornographic version. It was just Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And when it got into Canada, they weren't ready for it. So a lot of these things hit Teletoon and like YTV at night, and there was all this nudity on them. And it got shut down probably in 6 months before they started putting like, okay, this ninja anime from Japan is risque. It has to be adult. It can only air on this channel, pay-per-view, etc. So like when all this anime and video games hit Canada and America in the 90s at Blockbuster and stuff, they weren't ready for this divide of like, you know, risque adult stuff versus like, you know, regular child stuff like Pokemon and stuff. So Pokemon had an episode with a gun in it, and they did not air it in Canada because they weren't ready for having a gun on there. Beast Wars was called Beasties in Canada because war was bad. So like, yeah, dude, it's happened ever since, like, you know, the very beginning. They had like, it's always been like that. So I get it. I'm not surprised they had to censor it because it's the way it goes, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, a lot of people, especially, you know, I would say there's more negativity on the Square like manga app than there is positive. Like if you
Yeah.
look on Twitter about it, and it's just like people are just uploading screenshots of unreasonable like someone's wearing a crop top, so they'll censor the belly, like of the belly just showing. And that's the type of stuff that they'll censor. It's not like they're censoring nudity. It's like, if there's a scene where like a butt crack is showing, they'll
Yeah.
censor like the entire back, and
Yeah.
it's like people are just like, it's unreasonably censored.
I know. It's this age, man. Everyone's just upset over the smallest things. You call someone who's a they a he, and that's it. Your life is over.
Yeah, and I
It's
mean,
just so
that's
walking on
that's really
eggshells with
only in
everybody.
North America is the whole
Yeah.
pronoun thing really pronounced. Like I've,
Yeah.
I've been to Europe, I've been to like a lot of countries in Asia.
Yeah.
People really aren't
It's
using
not a, it's not a thing.
yeah, it's
It's
not
not
a
a real
thing. Like
thing. No,
people, the whole
it's not real.
pronoun thing, like he, him, they, their, it's pretty well just a North American thing,
Yep.
mainly an American thing. If you go to like
It's
even
true.
like Central America, people aren't like, that's not a thing. You
No.
visit like
What are you talking
Peter, you
about?
live in Japan. A lot of people just aren't.
Zero.
Yeah, people just
No,
don't use
it's not a thing.
pronouns there. Like when I was in Taiwan, people weren't using pronouns. It
No.
was like, you know, it's
Yeah.
sort of so in talking about censorship and all this type of stuff, and east west type of values and stuff like that. Even a lot of people are in the world, it's like, censorship really isn't a thing, but
Right.
for certain markets it is. For
You
certain
got to play
markets,
ball.
like some people sensibilities are a little bit more sensitive,
That's
so
right.
can they handle it? Who knows. Anyways,
Can you handle it?
Shonen Jump, they're the guys that own like Viz.
Yeah.
They will be getting, so Shonen Jump Plus will get simultaneous English releases in 2023. So the day that the manga is released, like in Japan, it'll be automatically converted to English, and this is using the Manga
Oh,
Plus app for like Android,
cool.
so
That's
or
nice.
iOS too. So
That's a good
basically,
idea.
those apps are being used by like 5 million people like daily. So it's, this isn't just like a small app. This is big. So they have like all the big like Naruto and One Piece, and
Yeah.
all the Attack on Titan and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
all those like things, like say like Spy X Family, Dragon
Oh yeah,
Ball,
that's coming up.
Slam Dunk, One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen. All of those originally started as like half a chapter type of thing in like these like weekly manga magazines. But
Oh, Demon Slayer started as like a little thing, and now they have Demon Slayer stores here.
yeah, they have like
Like,
a movie that they just released too.
yeah, yeah. Like you go into a mall, they have Demon Slayer stores. I'm not joking. You go into a fabric shop, they have the main guy Tanjiro with the green and black checker. You can buy rolls of it. It's always sold out of his fabric, and it's just insane, man. Like the movement over anime here
Yeah,
is just
so
mental.
like a lot, like Assassination Classroom, like all those types of things were like in Shonen Jump. So
Yeah.
like both like the manga, sort of like they do it like weekly, sometimes monthly, but it's like 160 page like issue, and like some of the manga that was just like unknown at the time ended up blowing up, and now it has like dedicated manga and stuff like that. But it
Yep.
all started from like this short form, like a few, like maybe like half a chapter in like a magazine. It's like, oh, I kind
It's
of like
true.
this, I want to see more of it,
That's kind of
so
interesting if you
yeah.
think about that too. Yeah, the
So
way it all kind of humble
this
beginnings.
is like a way that you can kind of like read like even the like chapters and all those manga that I mentioned, and plus you can discover like new series that will likely become like the best selling manga of like the future and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it all starts with like you know say like Crunchyroll, where they'll air
Oh
stuff in
yeah.
English the same day that it airs in Japan, and they're sort of just doing this now with like the written manga, both it's mainly, I'm talking about the digital releases. So
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
like a way that you can sort of like with Shonen Jump, it's sort of like not censored like the Square app is.
Yeah.
The Kobo Ellipsa and Clara HD are on sale on Amazon right now, as well as the Kobo website, both Kobo.com, the American site, and Kobo.ca. So if you're looking for the Ellipsa pack, which comes with a sleep cover, the device, and a stylus, that's on sale. It's basically like 10% slash 15% off on these devices. So it's not like a huge savings or anything like that.
Yeah, well, money's money, and for some provinces and states, 15% is their tax. So that's good.
All pocketbook readers can now read AZW formats.
Oh
So
yeah,
Pocketbook has just released like a firmware update for, okay, let's say the InkPad, the InkPad 3 Pro, TouchLux 4, TouchLux 5, InkPad Lite, InkPad Color, Pocketbook Color, and Pocketbook Era. So they've
but not the basic Lux 3,
no, I don't think so.
because that's like their newest device, the basic Lux 3.
Yeah, so this is
Oh,
just what's been announced like in the last week. So there
okay.
probably will push a firmware update for that, but it's
Yeah,
basically like support for AZW and AZW3 formatted books. So
nice,
they'll finally be able to
nice,
like support that on their e-readers. So
good.
it's an Amazon friendly format. So um, one of the benefits about that over Mobi is that there's like better typography. So like fonts will be darker if you sideload in the type of content. Uh,
That's good. Yeah.
Kobo e-readers can now change font size by gesture. So
Oh yeah,
Kobo
good.
has just issued a new firmware update for most of their modern e-readers. Like everything, you can think of everything but the Kobo Mini. So you can now change the font size using a pinch gesture. So as you pinch on an ebook, a circular preview window will appear, allowing you to see the font
Nice.
size as you adjust it. As
A
you
circular?
Yeah, so you'll see like a
Wow.
circular preview window, like on like the ebook. So as you
Yeah.
pinch and
Okay.
zoom the font, you'll sort of get like a
Yeah,
preview
yeah.
window of what it will
Why
look
is it
like.
circular? I wonder.
You
Hmm.
can toggle this feature on or off in reader
Good.
settings. And there's been some PDF enhancements. So basically, in the past, when you were reading PDFs on Kobos, and say you pinch and zoom and you find that sweet spot in like a book that you've like loaded, once you
Yeah.
turn a page, that's all gone. So you have to like sort of re-pinch and zoom to get like that sweet spot again. So that's been fixed. So if you're reading a PDF and you pinch and zoom and you're like, okay, this document's now showing perfectly, when you turn a page, that zoom level will be preserved now.
Oh,
So
nice. That's
Kobo is
good.
almost like one of the only brands that like actually support that. Almost every other brand, if you pinch and zoom like on a PDF file, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, especially with like scanlations or
Yeah.
PDFs you've downloaded online, sometimes like the borders are too big, and you want to crop out the borders so that like it fits the screen perfectly. Once you do that at least on Kobos now, you can just turn pages, and all of that will be
Right.
saved for each page that you turn. So
Interesting.
um, you know, the Sage and Ellipsa with large screens, that's going to be the most noticeable because those are
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
PDF editors. They come with styluses where you could like view and edit PDFs. So that's going to make like a huge difference.
MZ just said, "Are you going to make a little video showcasing these updates?" I mean, that's probably a really good idea because that's a lot of updates. You know what? I don't know if you can confirm this, Mike, but and I don't remember when it started, but we just tried. Remember yesterday, you're like, "Hey man, can you look for like Libby on a Kobo Sage?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." You can't start a Kobo device without signing in and downloading the Kobo desktop app. I could not seem to get past it. It got to start it up, choose your language, choose your Wi-Fi, and I hit an absolute wall, and it said, go to kobo.com/desktop and download the desktop app. And I'm like, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, how do I continue? And I pressed back and went back to Wi-Fi. Went forward, desktop app. I don't know when that started, but you can't start up a Kobo without downloading and plugging in. And there's like a photo, there's like an image of him plugging it into your laptop. And I was like, oh, okay. When did that happen? Because I don't recall that happening on all the devices except the Sage. I don't know if you can. Oh, someone just said, Bitter Almonds just said, yeah, my Kobo Mini gets stuck on that. Okay. This wasn't always a thing, I think, but
No,
maybe it is
it
on.
was there was a time when that didn't happen. So it's more of
That's
like
right.
it's more of
Okay.
a recent type of thing that
Good.
in one of the firmware updates, is sort of kind of probably buried in like the release notes and stuff. Which
Right.
like I could see why, because with the Kobo desktop app, you can download and install firmware updates like using the Kobo
Sure.
desktop app, and you can also use it by sending documents like to your device, like be with it being plugged into like
Yeah,
USB
yeah.
rather than dragging and dropping with like Windows Explorer. So it's just like it's more geared towards like noobs, like and
Yeah.
people who are like
I
newer to like
I get that
e-readers
and
than
I
it is
agree.
like people that have had multiple e-readers over the years and know how to use Caliber, or you at least know how to sideload in your own apps or ebooks.
Right, but you can't not. You know what I mean? I can't even skip it to start my unit.
Yeah.
I can't even. And then yeah, like it was it was totally. I was like, wait a second, Kobo shouldn't be doing this. Like no one else does that. Like a couple Chinese companies do that. Can't, you cannot proceed unless you do X. But this was Kobo. I was a little bit surprised that
Yeah.
that happened. Yeah,
So
weird.
one of the reasons why we were testing the Kobo is because there's been a number of libraries that have announced lately that they're no longer going to be supporting Overdrive, but they're going to
That's
be now
right.
supporting Libby. Most notably, the the Greater Toronto like library, which like every year at Overdrive, they're like in the top two or three of the libraries that have loaned out the most ebooks and
Yeah.
audiobooks like on a yearly basis. So they're not a small like library. Like even by like worldwide standards, it's like they're at the top of
Wow.
lending out the most ebooks and audiobooks, because like Toronto is, I think, is like the most populous like area in Canada. Like there's the
Probably.
most people there. That's like Toronto's like the center of Canada pretty well, all but
Yeah.
in like name. So they've said that they're no longer going to be able to support Overdrive. So we were like thinking, does that affect Kobo e-readers? Because
Yeah.
Kobo has like Overdrive APIs, and if somebody just supports Libby, does that mean that you won't be able to like borrow library books using a Kobo e-reader? So we have to, basically, when we like looked and tested it, books didn't really say Overdrive compatible or Libby compatible. They were just like, you enter your library card
Yeah.
number
Kind of
and
just
your
felt
your
like business as
branch like
usual.
pops up in the UI or whatever, and you could
Right.
read and borrow books right on your Kobo. So, but there really isn't any distinction between Overdrive supported books or Libby supported books. So this is something I'm gonna have to ask Kobo, because more, as you guys maybe have known that have iOS or Android devices, the main Overdrive app was pretty well, like you couldn't download new versions of it as about 6 months ago, and
Right.
Overdrive said that they're going to kill it off completely by the end of 2022, and they're only going to be supporting the Libby app going forward. So Libby app is like newer, better design principles. Like it's pretty well, the old Overdrive Media Council supported like videos and like audio, like music and stuff like that, whereas Libby pretty well just supports like books, audiobooks, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So that's the type of stuff that most people are reading digitally like anyways. I think it supports a few other things, but I haven't really tested it like extensively. I just know that like a lot of people like it, and so it supports the types of things that they kind of like to do. So but in
That's
Kobo's built-in Overdrive compatibility, I kind of think that they're using an Overdrive API to pull books exclusively, so I don't really know besides that.
okay. I was just adjusting something. Yeah, no, I hear you. You should do some digging and find out on the on both fronts, because yeah, we need to hear it from them, because yeah, well, it's better to hear from the horse's mouth. Is that right?
Yeah.
What does that even mean? I know how to use it, but what does that mean? Hear it from the horse's mouth. Horses don't say anything. Huh. Leave a comment down below.
Yeah, if you know where that idiom came from, we'd like to
Yeah,
know.
that's
Um,
right.
so next month, so like basically here it's July 31st,
That's
but
right.
starting I think like August,
Uh-huh.
uh, a lot of Kindles won't be able to access the bookstore anymore. So,
Oh yeah, that was the thing we wrote about a while back, and it's finally happening. Yeah,
yep. So Kindle second gen, Kindle DX, Kindle keyboard, Kindle fourth
that's
gen and
it.
fifth gen are on the chopping block. So, yeah, those will not no longer be able to have like connections to like the Amazon bookstore. So you won't be able to add books to your wish list. You won't be able to buy books on the Kindles. You won't be able to like do anything on them anymore. So the
And you
only
know what the worst guy, you know who has it the worst out of all of this?
what?
The DX. Because you can't get books from the store. It doesn't have Wi-Fi and you can't use the 3G. Oh my God. Nail in the coffin. At least the other devices have Wi-Fi, but because they got rid of 3G too, remember?
Yeah.
So, oh man, yeah, the DX just got like the triple, just annihilated on all fronts.
Yeah, but it's hella old.
I
So a lot of these
I
e-readers are
know.
like, they're more than like 12 years old at this point. Like, so
That's
they're super
crazy.
old. But then again, like, I know probably a lot of people who don't listen or view our channel and stuff like that. I've seen people use like second gen Kindles like on the SkyTrain or like on the bus and stuff. On the
Yeah,
rare
yeah.
occasion that I'll do it, it's like they're using like Kindles with physical buttons on them. You know what I mean? And that's like total old school.
That's a lot. That's saying something because the Touch didn't have it. The Voyage had it, kind of the little haptic things, but the physical buttons died out on
Remember
the
the
paper,
Kindle keyboard?
the Kindle 3. That the Kindle keyboard. That's the Kindle 3. Yeah, that's when they died basically.
Yeah.
There's a couple users on our chat here. They said they still use the Kobo Mini. Someone said they're still using their Nook Simple Touch from 10. Luis M. Godin's M. Oh, two M's said I'm still using my Simple Touch after 10 years. Works great. So yeah, there's people that like diehard fans that just they will use their older stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's
yeah,
really nothing wrong with older stuff because I guess in the e-reader industry, screen tech doesn't move as fast as it does like with
doesn't
smartphones.
does
You
not.
know, like would you upgrade, people tend to like upgrade their phones like every generation or two, because it's like, oh, do you want a screen with 120 like you know 125 megahertz like a refresh screen and stuff like that, so switching
Yeah,
between
I know
screens
people
are
that
much
bought
more
I
seamless.
know people that bought a phone for like $1,000, and then 128 hertz version came out the gen later, and they bought it, and I'm like, okay, what was that? And they're like, oh, it's got 120 hertz. I'm like, yeah,
It does make a big difference when you're
no, no,
scrolling screens or scrolling up and down or launching apps.
I know, but then I'm like, okay, what do you do? And they're like, oh, Candy Crush. I'm like, oh, okay, well, number one, do you need a $1,000 device to play freaking Candy Crush? Number two, what is a hertz? And they're like, I don't know, it's just faster. I'm like, you don't even know what it is. And I'm not looking down on them. I don't know what a lot of medical stuff is, but you know what I mean. You can't like preach to people like, oh, so it's got 120 hertz. And you do this like, this measurement contest with everyone around you. It's like, okay, well, what do you do on your phone? I don't know, like Instagram. It's like, oh my God, do you really need four cameras on your phone when you're not even an influencer? You're literally just scrolling through people's feeds. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Phones are getting out of
so
hand,
so
man.
what how we're tying this up is with e-reader tech doesn't really move as
Yeah,
fast.
it
Like
doesn't.
every 4 or 5 years, maybe that there's like a new type of thing. Like it all started with Pearl, and then like Carta, then Carta
And
HD,
Mobius.
yeah, Mobius. Then now there's like Ian Carta 1200 or 1250. There's
Yeah.
front lights, and then there was like front light, that was like blue screens, and then it was like front light
Yeah.
with like white LEDs, and then there was like
Yeah.
color temperature systems. So over the years, there's like different types of small iterative changes when it comes to like
Yeah.
e-readers, but fundamentally e-readers, whether you buy and use a device that's like 10 or 15 years old or something you buy today, the experience of reading books really doesn't change too much,
It doesn't.
but there
No.
is a big change, like using something that's 300 ppi. That's the one thing that I
That's
noticed.
the kicker.
Yeah,
Yep, that's the kicker. Yeah, if you open up like an older Sony, for example, we did that time capsule review. You're like, oh yeah, yeah, it's cool. I can read it. It's fine. But then you go to like a Paperwhite 5 and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. And then you go back to the older device and you're like, ah, what is this garbage? Because it really does change the game. The pixel density changes
yeah.
everything.
From like, you know, basically what PPI is and why it makes a big difference is like it comes with like the sharpness of the fonts and anti-aliasing. So with like 167, 127 PPI, even like 212 PPI. The
Yeah,
lower the PPI, the each like character of like the font is either a little bit fuzzy with like
yeah.
anti-aliasing, or it's like pixel perfect. So when you hear about PPI, you generally want to get an e-reader that's 300 PPI, especially if you read a lot. If you read just casually, maybe like a book a month or something like that, maybe like a couple books a month, sure, a lower PPI screen is fine. But for someone that's like reading often on their e-reader, you owe it to yourself to like get something that's like 300 PPI. And high PPI doesn't necessarily mean expensive. You can get something for like $100 that's like 300 PPI from the brand you already do business with, like the Kindle Basic, for example, like flagship Amazon entry level thing. That's not even 300 PPI. I think it's like either 106.
212 maybe?
Yeah,
Or
I think it's like 212. And when you compare like the Basic versus the Paperwhite, like screen on screen, there's a big difference like when it comes to like
yeah.
fonts. So I'm not like a font expert by any means. Like it's something that I don't really know that well. Same with like PPI, pixels per inch and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a font expert by far. Like, so, but I know that there's like a big difference between lower PPI and higher PPI, and it's about just the reading experience. And I do know that, from doing a lot of
167.
side by
Yeah.
side comparisons over the years, because we do that with like whenever there's sort of like, the
Yep.
Paperwhite, the last generation Paperwhite and this generation's Paperwhite, we'll do a comparison, see what the differences are. So we've kind of done that pretty well as a good e-reader company for many times over the years. So, just from putting the old generation lower PPI versus the higher PPI, it makes a big difference. So that's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah, no, it does. And it's not easy to show on camera because it's going from the device to a camera to an editing software to YouTube to the internet to your computer screen to your face. It's not easy to show that. But when you have it
Yeah.
in front of you, yeah, it definitely, it's not like night and day because that would be ridiculous. It's not like I can't see it, suddenly I can. It's just it's noticeably different. The curved letters of the O are now smooth, whereas like on the older one they'd be a little bit jagged, a little bit fuzzy, So yeah, density is has everything to do with the screen. Everything.
So before we wrap it up for today, we've done a lot of reviews lately. We
Yeah.
reviewed the Amazon Fire 7 tablet, the
Yeah.
Barnes & Noble Glowlight 4 Pink. We
Uh-huh.
released the MeBook P10 Pro, the
Yeah.
Pocketbook Era.
Oh, and the iFly Tech. Woo!
Yeah, so
Yeah.
out of everything that we've reviewed like pretty well in the last like week or like week or two, what is like your favorite device?
Oh man, the iFly Tech is the greatest. I'll tell you right now, man. No, it's terrible. Favorite device. Let's see. Favorite device of the ones we've reviewed, ones we uploaded or ones that we've reviewed, because there's some stuff in the works.
Yeah, let's just say the stuff that like is on YouTube right now.
Is on YouTube. Probably that P10. Probably that P10's got to be good. If you guys don't know, if you didn't watch it, Boyu still kind of makes it. They've taken a job behind the desk, and they're kind of like more of the foreman. They're like, do that, do this, and then Howking is the Chinese company that makes it, and MeBook is the new brand that it's being sold under. But that P10, man, to get Google Play with a glow light and audio with a note taking stylus and have it all in one complete package for $349. That's not a sales pitch. That's real. That's really good because comparable devices are like 450, 500, 700 at times. And this thing's it's $350. And if you buy it used, it's even cheaper. That's a good deal, especially because I remember 3 years ago, the Oasis was like $419. So to get like a fully blown out Android 11 Google Play note-taking slate for $350 is really good. I'm going to say out of the ones we've done recently, that's the best one.
Yeah, I would probably say the pocketbook era.
Oh, that was, damn, I didn't even realize
it's
that
like
too.
easily accessible.
Yeah.
You know, Me Book, Like Book, How King, Boyu. It's like the whole. It's very confusing.
It is.
About what's going on with those companies, and like it's not easy to like find those products online other than our store, and we're pretty well the only online blog that even talks about them, you know what I mean, like a YouTube channel, like we're the only like English speaking like company that even like talks about it. Everything else, like if you just Google it, it's all just Chinese sites. But pocketbook era, I think pocketbook has been making e-readers, like they're celebrating like their 15th anniversary. Yeah, it's like $199 for like, you know, their entry level models, so it's like half the price as like the Me Book one. It has support for like more fonts than anybody. It supports like manga formats. You know, you basically use it as a side-loaded only device, or you could like get books from like the pocketbook store, which is slowly growing. They actually have an audiobook store on their like devices now. So not only can you just download ebooks from Pocketbook, but you can actually now download audiobooks from Pocketbook.
They have a toggle on the store.
Yeah. So it's like they're growing up now. They're seeing the value of audiobooks, and you know it's a very user-friendly device. It certainly doesn't have Google Play, but for an ebook reader that could do everything, I think it's a pretty good alternative to like the bigger players in the industry, because a pocketbook, you're not locked into any ecosystem. You can just sideload in whatever books that you want, whether they have DRM or not. You know, so it plays nicely with like Adobe content servers and things like that. So you can use Adobe Digital Editions to sideload in content. So I mean, library books, sure, load them in. You know. Books you bought,
and it's a great looking device.
Yeah,
too. They revamped the front, they've chiseled the sides, they put a new backing on. They even have this complete mystery thing where you crack open the back panel. You're meant to do that, and it has all the regulatory information, and it's got a accessory jack on the back for like cases, or I don't know what it already has. Physical
cases.
We
sell the Era cases, so there's two different cases. There's like leather.
Oh, they are for that.
Yeah. They're like pogo
why
do
pins. They need electronics?
Because it's for the sleep cover.
You don't need sleep. You don't need electronics for sleep.
I just think that they're doing it a little bit differently.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I saw them on our site recently. I think the store added them, and I was like, okay, cases. But that still didn't explain why they had a 5-pin copper contact at the back. Because like, if you're putting physical page turns like the Leaf did, the Leaf itself body didn't have page turn buttons, but the Era does. So why would you need that to add a case with page turn buttons? And no device needs electronics for sleep. It's not.
I don't know. Have you reviewed the cases yet?
I have not. I don't even have any of the cases.
I'll get them to send you cases.
Yeah, do it up. That'd be awesome. I would like to see what else plugs into that, because, dude, five contact points is a lot. I mean, that's like a keyboard. So that'd be interesting to see what's going to be going on with that.
Yeah, from the pictures, they didn't really show any contact pin type of thing. So, but I do know that they only have two different style cases,
Yeah,
like leather ones and like fabric ones, and they
nice.
come in like two or three. Oh, it's like hard shell and something else, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I saw them. Yeah,
Yeah, so we haven't really reviewed them yet, so it's sort of hard to say, or what they're all about, minus like the actual
right.
pictures that like we've seen. So that about wraps the show up
It
for this
does.
week.
That was fun. You guys are very awesome. You guys have been incredibly vocal. Hundreds of comments here. This is fantastic. We very much appreciate you guys always sticking around and standing by. As you know, Michael has his radio show that he does via podcast. We do the live showcases every week, Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And standing out this month, we just started with collaborating with some of our distributors with the idea. And we are doing the Goody Reader raffle, in which case you can go to the link that you will see in the video and the link I just sent there, and you can buy raffle tickets. And what this does is it's aside from the contest we're doing, this one actually gives you entries into winning big things. Like we're doing a DPT RP1, which at this point is like $1,000. So if you buy raffle tickets, you can buy as many as you want. At the end of the month, we'll do a draw and we'll give that device to you based on the raffle ticket. So it's pretty cool. It's a new thing we're doing that our distributors have also been jumping on. And we, of course, teamed up with Barnes & Noble yet again and are doing a contest for free on our YouTube channel if you want the Nook Pink.
Yeah, so basically, as you guys know, we do contests where we give away like a review unit or something like that a company has like sent us. So we'll both have a
Yeah,
review model, but a new sealed item as well. And
that's right.
generally those are like anywhere between like $100 and maybe $300 or $400. But when it comes to like more of the expensiver like items, it's like it's really hard to kind of just give away $1,000 like item, for free. Like nobody but us really does that. Like on a monthly basis. So
Right.
the raffle tickets are like $9.99 each. You could, on the YouTube video, there's a link to it, but there's like the draw at the end of August.
Yeah,
And we'll
end
be
of August,
doing
yeah.
as part of like our live stream, we'll announce like the winner live on the air. So you could see like how we're gonna do like the random like generator to like figure out who won by inserting like names and how many tickets they bought and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's just a different style of way to give away more expensive type like items, and we're continue to do free contests for like the more the $100 to $300 type of like things. So we'll
That's
always
right.
give those away, but we're starting to slowly accumulate more expensive devices, and it's like, what should we do with them? Basically, they're just like sitting on shelves, and it's like,
That's
okay,
right.
we like to get these in users' hands, and we just came up with like a raffle idea. So this is like the first time we've ever done something like this. So hopefully we have your support for this, and we wish everyone luck who bought a raffle ticket.
That's right.
So for the Goody Reader radio show, name is Michael.